Tacloban is so beautiful. We are the only city in the whole Philippines that we are surrounded by 5 bays. The economy is booming. Business were opening left and right. But with this, in just 1 day, we're back to zero.
November 2013. The strongest tropical storm in recorded history makes landfall in Tacloban City in the Philippines. The typhoon tears the city apart. Typhoon Haiyan, known as Yolanda in the Philippines, rampages across the island of Leyte, leaving a wake of destruction. In the aftermath of the storm, there is a desperate struggle to survive. In this documentary, shot in the immediate aftermath of the disaster, we tell the stories of some of these survivors.
Tinaas na po ang signal number 4 sa mga lalawigang unang tatamaan ng bagyo. Eastern Samar, Leyte.
Samantala, signal number 4 na po ngayon sa probinsya.
Experts classify the storm, fast approaching the Philippine island of Leyte, as a super typhoon.
225 kilometers.
They predict that Haiyan, Yolanda in the Philippines, will unleash winds of up to 195 miles an hour.
Dito po sa western section ng Visayas,
The situation is critical, and on the 7th of November, the government broadcasts warnings across the Philippines.
Gawin na po natin ang ating magagawa habang hindi pa lumalapag si Yolanda. Ulitin ko po, seryosong peligro ito.
The storm is forecast to make landfall the following day. Haiyan is a Category 5 megastorm, and even more powerful than Hurricane Katrina, which overwhelmed New Orleans in 2007.
Ang mga lumikas ay pawang mga residente malapit sa dalampasigan.
In Tacloban, 13,500 people are evacuated. But not everyone heeds the warnings.
So we have identified evacuation centers and what were the status. And people were going around telling them, especially those living in coastal areas, to evacuate already. But as they went around the villages telling them, please evacuate now, some were even laughing because the sun was out. They thought that if we evacuate them, they will not be allowed to return to their homes anymore. So they were hesitant to evacuate. And when the government started to evacuate them, only their wives and their children were evacuated at the evacuation centers. The husbands opted to stay in their homes to watch over their belongings while they allowed their wives and their children to go to the evacuation centers.
Yung dati, kung nandun lang kami sa bahay, safe kami. Kasi walang problema. Yung namin yung bubong, naka-trusses naman, may mga bolt para hindi matanggal yung mga yero. Okay naman.
As the storm bears down on the Philippines, people in Tacloban and northern Cebu make desperate efforts to protect their homes.
Paglindol paglindol ang among bahay na crack ba matong na wala nang di na bitaw nang Hindi na karang gratisado ba. Pag kuan to, pag yung naibagyo, kaya ang mga atop, gipangkairan og mga pisi. Motong akong pamilya gihatong sila Leticia, akong gisipti ba. Na si Papa diha na sumua, siya mo ko sa nabilin. Di, isipti yung kaugulingon ng pamilya, isipti ba. Akong inas Papa nga, pa, biya tan na dress tong bay kay kusuging hangin, kay atong bay kay huyang darbani kay tungod sa agiaglinog. Yung nga siya nga, kanang di sirunon sa atong bay kay saminto ba.
At 10 p.m., the night before Super Typhoon Haiyan, we went out of our house together with my wife, and we were still getting these mothers, these children, to the evacuation centers. And looking back, I would have wished that I spent the whole night evacuating these people. I might have saved one more life.
As the storm brewed in the Pacific, Kelly Nutter was in America. His Filipino wife, Dinelith, is at home in Tacloban. He has made a desperate journey to reach the city.
I was watching this live on a satellite feed, and then I was talking to her. We were actually chatting when on the internet when the communication was lost. About maybe 45 minutes before the eye of the storm came across Tacloban.
The Philippines is hit by some 20 typhoons every year. But nothing could prepare the people of Tacloban and northern Cebu for the ferocity of Super Typhoon Haiyan. Tacloban is located at the eastern end of the Philippine island of Leyte. The city lies directly in the path of the superstorm Haiyan, and with its wide open bays, is completely unprotected. In the early hours of Friday morning, the 8th of November, Haiyan smashed into Tacloban with full force.
The ceiling gave in, so we had to move up to another room, and we thought the safest was in the first floor or in the ground floor. We stayed in that room together with my children and some of my staff there, and we could hear the sound of the breaking glass, structures falling down. So we were right there in our room, waiting for it to pass.
Yung pintuan namin, mga uncle ko, kinupamba para hindi ba makapasok yung hangin kasi masyadong malakas. Tapos, yung isa namin pintuan, natanggal. Yun na, yung malakas na yung hangin, pumapasok na sa bahay. Nagsiliparan yung mga yung mga gamit, yung mga aparador na tumba. Tapos yung bubong, medyo, yung bubong, mataas na. Pero, pag tataas ng bubong, bumabalik naman, pero malakas yung pagkuhamba, ang pagbanang kuhan ng yero sa kuhan kasi trasis naman. Pagbaba, yun na yung pader namin na tatanggal. Buti na lang hindi ba kami natatamaan. Tapos pumunta kami sa silong ng aming kuhan ng lababo ba.
Super typhoons like Haiyan pack a double punch. The vortex of wind whips up a phenomenon called a storm surge. It has the destruction power of a tsunami. Huge areas of Tacloban lie below sea level, and towering waves sweep into the defenseless city. Tacloban is ringed by mountains, and its people have nowhere to run.
So we're just there in the room, waiting and waiting for it to pass us. Not knowing. Then when waters went to our room and slowly rose, I went to the door and I tried opening the door by pulling, but I couldn't open it anymore because of the pressure from the water. Good thing, in that room, there is a window. So I brought all my kids to the window and hung on there until the water subsided. I tell you, that was an experience that we will never forget for the rest of our lives.
Labas na namin hanggat yung baha tumataas na, hanggat umaabot na ng liig. Nagdesisyon kami rin pumunta doon sa kapitbahay namin. Yung baby ko, mama yung may hawak, pero kinuha ko kasi baka matumba ba siya. Doon kami sa loob, kinukuhaan ko lang kasi basang-basa na ba. Puti-puti na, tapos yung labi niya, itim na. Nung hawak-hawak ko yung baby, dito kami dumaan. Saka, yung pataas na yung tubig, itinaas ko siya para hindi ba makuhanan ng tubig, matuyo ng masyado. Inawakan ko siya mga 1 oras para hindi lang kami matumba. Saka lumipat kami doon sa sa kapitbahay namin, doon kami kumain sa tindahan, umakyat kami.
It was not only the wind that brought so much destruction, it was the storm surge. And we had never experienced a storm surge in our lives.
The joint force of typhoon winds and floodwater tear through Tacloban. Then the storm roars on towards northern Cebu. In the nearby city of Bogo, Eden Oyamot braves the tempest to try and rescue his father.
Nahadlo ko sa akong papa wasig na kuan ba siya tabo na ako kuan ko black lang ko sa yaba mo tong ako lang siyang balik sa mo among bay na ukab lang atop na to ang iya pong bungbong na dila sa pikas na guba nang tumpang to ba mo to mong bay nga murag nang huyang kayo kay wala may alyang pikas ko na kuan na sa hangin bertumpag na si papa diha na sa luyos ang Mumbai sa may gripo. Nagsalipod ba? Nagsalipod siya ba? Yung kuha po sa lipod ko, pag-ingon siya nga, nang din, mong kinabuhi, tanatanaw mo sa isipti na kayang masin, maigo ka nila na si papas ko ba nga, si isipti mong kinabuhi. Ngayon po siya, imo pa ba isipti po mo kayang masin na lupad na?
When the roof collapsed, Eden fled the house, alone. "15 hours later, Super Typhoon Haiyan moves beyond Philippine territory and heads towards Vietnam. It leaves behind a seemingly endless trail of destruction. Entire neighborhoods have been washed away, and millions left stranded with no homes, no food, and no water.
Nakita kong bahay ko, parang kuwan ba, yung magigiba na ba? Kasi yung ibang dingding gutak na, tapos yung beam na nagkandahulog, kunti na lang yung kinakapitan ng bakal. Pagka bukas naman, naghanap na ako ng makakain namin kasi yung bigas namin puro basa.
It's like the end of the world. There was not a single house anymore there. It was like the whole area had been flattened. Women crying, children running, fathers bringing their dead children, and people having head wounds, injured. And that was the scene I saw after I stepped out of our house.
Kelly is still at Cebu Airport, waiting for a flight. His thoughts are on his wife in Tacloban.
The thought, at least once a day, every day, or maybe even more than once a day, came to my mind, what am I going to do if she's dead?
The Philippine city of Tacloban has taken the full force of megastorm Haiyan. Huge areas of the city and the surrounding region are destroyed. In the ruins, survivors struggle to rebuild their lives. When the typhoon struck Bogo in northern Cebu, Eden Oliamot fled to safety. But as the storm reaches its peak, he returns to try and save his father, who had stayed in the family home.
Ang low block kay Igbaw man. Ang Igbaw man na tumpag na tong higayon na dyan. Kaya mo tong naunag bunal ko dito sa Igbaw pag sa semento pagbuak. Di mo ko kalakaw po magkamang lang konto sa magtabang siya di po daog sa low block kay dagko man kayong low block datog po siya. Kaya ang tiil may naklaro siya. Kaya yang okay natabunan man ang low block. Nabunal lang pa siya sa 2x2 na kahoy. Mo tong dito to matabang pero ko kanang naka nakahawa pa sa kwan. Di pa to madaan ako. Di niya po. Katamong bahay kita bangang kon niya og kanang kon sa kanang kon ba dapat sayang aptan bawa pa may alay to sa Igbaw ng kon sa kon bitaw nang pumugbungan dapat sa pumugbungan iyang gipatungat ningon bisa sa kuha nga nang din gunitin nagmayda si malusnag ko or gipagi gunitan di ka.
Kelly has at last found a flight from Cebu City to Tacloban. His wife, Dinalith, was in Tacloban when the typhoon struck. He has no idea if she is still alive.
I met my wife at a bar in Tacloban, and we got to talking. We sat down, we talked together, you know, pretty much the whole night, and we just hit it off, you know, and pretty much have been in each other's company ever since. We got married, and we've been married about 1.5 years now. Just to get to Manila was almost 20 hours. That was 3 plane journeys to Manila, and then a plane journey to Cebu, and then another plane journey to Tacloban. So that's 5 airplanes in 2 days, basically approaching, well, we're past probably right about the 48-hour mark now. So, and the whole time I'm just clinging to the hope that I remember the last time I talked to her, everything was okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now be landing in a few minutes. Please check that your seatbelts are securely fastened. Sa loob na sa dali tayo po ay lalabas.
My main concern is not so much that the storm surge got them, it's the fact that they might be there now without food and water.
In Tacloban City, the stench of death fills the air. There is little food and water and
The next day, there were relief goods. But it was just not enough for everyone because nobody expected that almost all residents are victims themselves. With no communication lines, with the airports down, all the roads impassable. There's just no way you can distribute relief goods.
Kasabay nito, idineklara po natin itong araw na ito ang State of National Calamity upang mapabilis ang mga pagkilos ng pamahalaan para sa pagsagip, paghahatid ng tulong at rehabilitasyon ng mga probinsyang sinalanta ni Yolanda.
Inilima sila ang ilang pagkain sa ilang tindahan. Sa panahon ito
In Tacloban, there are reports that stores are being looted. The reality is that many desperate people are seeking food and water.
Nagluto ulit ako ng noodles. Gutom pa. Gutom. Wala talagang bigas.
Ito na yun,
Nung alas 3 ng umaga, merong nagsisigawan na sa mall raw, merong malulot mga pagkain.
Sa panahong ito at kung isa sa alang-alang ang kanilang sitwasyon, may tuturing nga bang krimen ang looting?
Sa 2 araw, nagdesisyon akong mag-loot dahil sa wala na kami ng nakakain.
Baka pwede itong pumasok dun sa konsepto na self-preservation di ba? Kumbaga self-defense.
Yung bahay namin at saka yung mall, medyo malayo. Kumuha ko ng pedicab, umiram ako kay Uncle. Yung kinuhan namin, yung kinargahan, yung nilagyan ng aming malulot. Meron naman akong dala. Kahit kuwan lang yun, maliit na katalim. Basta dinala ko lang. Kasi mahirap pala raw kung nasa loob ka na. Nandun na kami sa kanto. Merong mga tao, may mga bit-bit na mga sako. Kahit nahihirapan, kinakaya. Kahit pagod na, diretso pa rin. Tapos yung kahit merong mga kable, kinakaya nila para lang makakain ba ng gusto ba yung pamilya nila. Doon na desisyon na talaga akong pumunta ron kasi marami pa raw natitira. Diyan na kami sa kalye, marami nang nagsisidaanan, may mga dala kahit mga pagkain, mga appliances na dinadala rin yung iba. Kasi wala na silang iba raw makuha. Nakakatakot kasi yung kapag siyempre meron na raw namatay doon kasi binabaril raw kapag hindi kapag hindi na sumusunod ba. Siyempre yung iba gumagawa talaga ng paraan para makapasok. Noon merong nagpursiging pumasok, isang bata pa raw. Isang bata, hanggat binaril siya ng gwardya. Pero yung guard naman, pinagtulungan. Merong daw lumapit na lalaki, sinaksak yung guard, hanggat pinagtulungan kasi bata yung binaril. Tapos marami namang nagpapaputok doon. Hanggat ang namatay doon, mga umabot ng 5. Yung mga taong namatay. Tapos yung mga tao kahit nagpapaputok parang wala pa rin takot ba kasi gusto nilang makakuha talaga ng pagkain. Kasi wala namang mga kuan sila mga makakain. Kasi yung mga relief, yung iba hindi pa dumadating.
I was so angry. I said, we were already affected by the typhoon. Now, by looting all the supermarkets and grocery, it will again set us back. And true enough, after 1 week, more than a week, no stores have opened yet. And that is a sad commentary. Now, in other countries, after a calamity or a tragedy, people come together as one community. Here, people began looting. And the worst is that we now see them all over the streets selling their looted items.
Kahit sabihin pang looters ka, okay lang naman yun kasi minsan lang naman. Kung hindi naman kung hindi naman ganito yung trade dyan, hindi naman maglulot. Ngayon lang naman nangyari to. Karamdam ko, nabawasan yung pagkatao ko dahil sa nandun ako sa loob, kinakabahan, nang hihina, tapos yung mainit, kala mo hindi mo matatatagan ba na parang wala na.
On the 10th of November, aid workers begin to arrive in Tacloban. They confront a scene of devastation. There is no electricity and no fuel. Thousands beg for space on flights out of the city. In these desperate early days, Vice Mayor Jerry must shoulder many painful responsibilities.
Number one, I have to go to the control center and fix and make sure that the government is running and functioning, to make sure that relief goods are being distributed, to make sure that the clearing operations are underway, to make sure that bodies are being recovered, and to make sure that peace and order situation is at hand. So by this time, things have began to normalize. So I think this is the perfect time to visit the evacuation center again. Many families are evacuated here. I came to this evacuation center because I want to give a gift to a survivor. He came to me and asked, I lost everything. I lost my wife, I lost my granddaughter. And at that moment there, I had to make a choice between going back to save my wife or moving to a higher ground to save myself. And he made that difficult choice. And now, he said, I just need to ask one favor from you.
Oh, Manong. Rina, talo ka na. Ha?
I need a pair of pants. Because when I left, the pants that I'm wearing now is a borrowed one. That tells you already that this guy lost everything, yet asking for a simple pair of pants.
Ha? Oh. Ha?
Kelly is shocked by the devastation wreaked by Typhoon Haiyan. But he tracks down food and a vehicle and sets off through the ruined city in search of his wife.
Yeah, they got water and food for my family. It was a beautiful place. Now looks like somebody dropped a bomb in here.
Kelly has reached the neighborhood where he lived with his Filipino wife, Dinalith. The good news is she's alive. The bad news, no one knows where she is. The death toll in Tacloban continues to be revised. But at least 5,000 people died in the city when Super Typhoon Haiyan struck on November the 8th.
How many days now? We're on the 10th, 11th day. You see, every day they're still getting more bodies out. Until now, we still can't bury our dead. I tell you, this might be one of them might be my friend. One of them might be the father of my employee. One of them might be the son of my employee. And one of them might be my employee. This is a part of who we are. And this is a part of our community.
It's more than a week since Typhoon Haiyan struck the Philippine island of Leyte. Aid is at last reaching Tacloban and other affected areas. Mark hopes to find food and medicine for his wife and 3-month-old daughter.
Ngayong araw na to, gusto kong maghanap ng makakain namin para naman may makain yung pamilya ko at saka hindi magutom. Lalo na yung baby ko para hindi magkasakit, maghanap rin ako ng medicine.
First, Mark needs to find gasoline for his motorcycle. After 5 frustrating hours, he decides to leave. He will have to eke out what he has.
Umalis ako sa pila ko dahil medyo mahaba at medyo mainit, masikip, saka medyo napapagod na ako.
On the way, Mark tries to get rice.
Siyempre napagod ako, naglakad pa ako ng malayo, saka wala naman ako nakuha na bigas at yung pamilya ko naghintay sa akin para meron akong madala, pero anong madadala ko dahil wala.
Midday. The temperature is above 40 degrees, and Mark joins another long queue, this time for medicine.
Maghihintay ako rito mga 4 or 5 o mahigit pa dahil medyo mahabang pila na to para makakuha lang ng gamot para sa anak ko.
So if your wife and your baby are sick, okay?
Ngayon, hindi ako nakakuha ng medisina dahil gusto nila na yung pamilya ko yung pumunta dito at saka yung anak ko dahil hindi daw sila makakabigay ng medicine kung wala yung pamilya ko dahil tinitingnan muna nila, sine-check up kung anong kalagayan o anong sakit ng aking misis o ng aking anak.
It's been a long day for Mark, but he returns home to his family empty-handed.
Mabuti na kung kahit wala kaming kinakain, basta kahit wala kaming bigas, wala kaming kinakain, basta meron kaming dilata at meron naman kaming noodles dyan. Pag kinasamin ka na ganito kami at least buhay kami at sa susunod medyo makakaraos na din ata. Hindi ko na ata dadalhin. Maghanap na lang ata ako ng yung misis ko, saka yung anak ko, hindi na ata kami pupunta doon, baka mahaba pa yung pila, pareho kanina, mahaba, ang init-init, sikip, papagod ka talaga. Dito na lang ata sila, maghanap na lang ako ng gamot para sa aking anak at sa aking misis.
Kelly is still searching for his wife, Dinolith.
What we got here, I mean, all this delay, and we miss her leaving by 20 minutes. She's been here for 8 days, waiting on me, and she finally gives up hope that I'm ever coming and misses me by 20 minutes. So evidently we're going to find the guy that took her wherever she was going, and he's going to bring her back here.
Now it's a matter of waiting and hoping.
Luckily, the guard knows where they took her. So they went to get her. So happy you're okay. Pretty amazing.
Nashock ako na pumunta siya dito. Surprise ako. Kasi, yun, siya na mismo yung gumawa ng paraan, mahanap lang ako. Appreciate ko yung ganyan.
There she is. The first thought that crossed my mind, there she is. I can't believe she's here. Yeah. After so long, so much worry, so many sleepless nights, so many trying to contact. I mean, it was just amazing that, you know, that finally the moment's here. Here she is.
Nag-text din siya sa akin kung nagsimula na yung bagyo, ganyan. Sabi ko, tapos tinext niya sa akin na yung mata daw ng bagyo dito sa Leyte. Mas nalalo kong natakot doon. Kasi dito na yung point ng bagyo talaga. Tapos yun, yung sabi niya sa akin, I love you. Yun sa text. Nakapag-reply din ako dun. Yun, I love you din.
Do you still want to go to Cebu? You want to get out of here? Yeah. We can go to tomorrow. The American military will evacuate us to Manila on an military airlift.
Not now?
No, because the last flight already left.
Kung saan mas safe doon kami. Kasi dito, matagal-tagal pa rin maano yung electricity. Parang hindi safe na baka may magnanakaw, ganyan. Hindi safe yung buhay. Diba? Malaman lang nilang foreigner siya. Yan. Alam mo naman yung tao.
Now that we have found each other, I mean, it's more special. You know, we can cherish each moment. We realize what we almost completely lost. You know, and as you see, there are so many people that are not as fortunate as we are. I feel grateful that things turned out for us, at least. It was a beautiful place, you know, nice place to live, nice, friendly people.
Was here.
Yeah, I mean, it was every day. I would go downtown and visit friends and do things, bring back food, because she usually never wanted to go unless we were going to eat dinner. She always stayed in the house.
I'm lazy.
Yeah.
No joke.
So I would go, I would buy things in the market and, you know, come back. And I just enjoyed being here. I enjoyed every minute of being here. And I have so many friends. I don't even know what happened to them. I just, you know, they're in the hands of Providence is smiling upon them, and they're okay, I hope. Will I come back to Tacloban? Yes, absolutely.
Kelly and Dinolith leave on a military plane. But for the many Filipinos who are desperate to leave the city, escape is still impossible. In Bogo, 200 miles away in northern Cebu, the plight of survivors is just as desperate. But the media spotlight is still on Tacloban. And here in Bogo, many feel they have been forgotten.
Ito, gitabangan sad. Dito gitabangan. Andiri po, tabangan po lang ta diri ba kay naagayan po trade nga kanang kan pro nga nang grabe po trade po diri sa mga dapit ba. Ako gusto ko nang tabang sa mga gobyerno kanang kuan ba para makatabang sa mga pagkuan ba. Pagpuyo kasi ay mong bay guba na sad wala mga atop. Ako na kanang na balakan ba kay among bay kay tubod naman na kay trapa naman yung atop na kay akong asawa tilaanak sa bagay tilaanak po karong kuan na pod buwan na pod mag-uwan tugno kayo di ka magkuan di ka kapasilong ba trapa mo kay mubo man tayo yung itaas mga 4 ka metro siguro to hinaot na ko nga na makatabang sa among kuan sa balay ba mga materialis ba kay ang maunan ta kasi ang bahay na jay mauna ta nang matarbukan ba para puyan ba.
We're going to the evacuation center. Hopefully I can still find the mother that I helped in driving her to the evacuation center. So I hope that she's well and she's safe.
Mag-aanak na ako yan. May makaanak ko yan nga. Si Mana sunod si Mana.
We made already a commitment. By the time that she gives birth, I'm gonna be the godfather of that baby. So happy that I was able at least to be part of her life in a small way. To see her alive, to see her smile, somehow it just tells me that it was all worth it. It was all worth it to drive them from their homes to the evacuation center.
It is more than a week since Super Typhoon Haiyan struck Tacloban. The city, once so beautiful and vibrant, remains paralyzed. For those left behind, the battle to survive goes on.
Every morning that I wake up, I say to myself, I want to go out, meet the people, and tell them that we can start believing again. Believing in ourselves and believing in our city. We can dream again. We can dream again. There is hope and there is life after Super Typhoon Haiyan.